Okay, so looking at something similar, remember we talked about when you have your weak acid buffer equilibrium, what happens when you add a strong base. So in this case, you're going to have some of that, and the NaOH that was added is going to react with the hydronium. So let's take a look at the before. So before you add in your strong base, we had equivalent amounts, so our ratio was 1, right? After we added in our hydroxide, we had the hydronium become neutralized. It shifted the reaction to the right, which means that our product went up and our reactant went down. So if we look at our ratio between acid and conjugate base, our ratio actually went below 1. So if we were to look at the different calculations for pH here, the final pH would be 4.83. So let's go back. We had to look at this one over here. So originally, our first pH, before we added in anything with the equivalent, with our ratio of 1, was 4.74. Okay, so that's when you had a ratio of 1. But now with our lower ratio, we have a lower concentration of hydronium, which should make sense because some of it has been neutralized by the hydroxide that was added, and our pH went up, which again makes sense because we added in a strong base. But the same idea, it did not jump dramatically up, it simply went up a little bit, right? So remember, we're only adding in small quantities. So this is just a nice little summary picture that's in your work text. So this center picture is the original buffer. So this is where you have equal concentrations of reactant and product with a ratio being 1. So if you add in a strong acid, what happens is you end up having more of the acid in comparison to the conjugate base. If you add in a strong base, that means you're reacting with the hydronium, so you're going to end up having more acetate or more conjugate base in comparison to the weak acid. So you just have to think about what shift is happening due to the Le Chatier. Like, what is happening here? You're adding in hydronium, which is going to shift the reverse reaction. When you add in hydroxide, it's going to remove some of your hydronium product, so it's going to produce more product. All right, so let's start taking a look at some of the practice problems. So for the first one, it says, fill in the blanks with the following statement. So we're looking at acid buffers here. So following the addition of a small amount of strong base to a buffer solution, the ratio decreases, right? Because we're going to have a larger denominator there. The hydronium should also decrease because some of it is reacting with our strong base. And the pH should increase slightly because it's becoming more basic, like it's going towards the basic direction. So here we're writing the net ionic equation. So remember, that means we're removing our spectator ions. So we're writing it out for a small sample of NaOH being added to the buffer that is discussed in sample problem 6.2.1. So the buffer that was, I'll write out what the original one was here. This was with nitrous acid. Okay, so remember, when we are adding a strong base, that is going to react with our hydronium, causing a shift to go into the forward direction. So essentially what's happening here is you have HNO2 reacting with the hydroxide ion, arrow, NO2 plus water. So we have our weak acid reacting with our hydroxide to produce more of our conjugate base ion. In this case, this is nitrite, and our water. So if you look, just to make note here, this is the correct answer. The answer key that is in The student answer key from Advantage Science, I believe, is incorrect from this. If you want to see an example of what one of these looks like, they do show one with the acetic acid buffer on page 351, if you want to see an example of that one with a different acid. Okay, and part C, how will the acid conjugate base ratio, the hydronium and the pH solution change essentially with the addition of the strong base? Okay, well, because we're adding in a strong base, we know that this ratio is going to decrease, right? It's going to become lower than 1 because we're making more of our product ion. The hydronium concentration is going to decrease because it's going to be reacting with our hydroxide, and the pH is going to increase. So actually this scenario in C is the same that they were describing in part A, right? We're adding in a strong base. Okay, number 2. So number 2 is looking at, so we have if 100 milliliters of a buffer solution discussed in the sample problem, so we're still dealing with the nitrous acid, is diluted to 1 liter. The pH will be the same as the original buffer solution. How many moles of HNO2 and NO2 negative 1 are available to neutralize added hydronium and hydroxide ions in the 1 liter of this diluted solution compared to the 1 liter of the undiluted solution? Okay, so in the undiluted solution, right, we have 1 mole per liter. So where am I getting this information from? We're getting this from the sample problem. So the sample problem, it has a 1 liter. I guess you can't really do this without knowing the sample problem information. So the sample problem on page 352 says that we have a 1 mole per liter of HNO2, and it's a 1 liter buffer. So of course, if we have 1 mole per liter and we have 1 liter, the undiluted HNO2 is going to have 1 mole per liter, right? There's 1 mole available. Okay, so if you have a diluted version now, so we have 1 mole per liter, and we are taking 100 milliliters of it, divided by 1. So I'm just going to put this in liters, right? So we just have our dilution equation. So our new concentration is going to be 0.1 moles per liter, right? Those cancel, which means that we have 0.1 mole available. Okay, so we have 1 mole available, undiluted, diluted, we have 0.1 moles available for 1 liter of both. So part B goes along with this. So this is saying if 0.11, let me write this down, we have 0.11 moles of HCl is now added to each. So we have the undiluted and then our diluted. It's added to each of these 1 liter buffer solutions. Would they be equally able to resist a significant change in their pH levels? Why or why not? Okay, so the undiluted version has 1 mole available to neutralize, or I guess I should say to counteract the moles of this HCl that are added. So the other one is 0.1 moles, right? Which was our answer from A. So if you were to compare this, this first undiluted solution would actually be able to resist a drastic change in pH. And the reason why is if you look at the comparison, we have 1 full mole available, but we have 0.11 mole that are being added. So this can shift to either be 0.11 moles more or less. However, if you compare it to one that has the only 0.1 moles available, you're basically adding in more moles of HCl than what is originally there. So this is not going to be able to properly shift and have a resistance in the pH levels accordingly, because literally it's going to be, you're basically doubling the amount of moles, right? So it's definitely going to be a much more, the pH is basically going to drop dramatically because you have a weak acid equilibrium and you're adding in a strong acid and you're actually adding in double the amount of moles. So it's going to go from 0.1 to having 0.21. But this HCl, remember, is just straight up hydronium ions. So this undiluted will be able to have a proper resistance in pH change. So this diluted one will change the pH significantly. Like, it will not be able to properly resist adding in that much HCl for that equilibrium. Okay, number 3. So each of the following solutions determine if they will qualify as being a buffer. Briefly explain your answer for each case. So here we have, so remember, what makes a buffer? We need a weak acid and the conjugate base ion. So here we have HI. So first of all, this is a strong acid. So automatically, I know this first one cannot be a buffer because we're dealing with a strong acid which does not have equilibrium. Part B, so we have NaF, so fluorine ions, which is a conjugate of a weak acid, and we have sodium cyanide, which is another conjugate. So we have two different bases and we do not have there's no weak acid present. We have two bases. For C, we have K2C2O4, so we have the oxalate anion, which is considered to be a base, and we have potassium with hydrogen oxalate. So this one actually can, yes, be a buffer. And the reason why is because this HC2O4 ion can behave like a weak acid. Right, if we were to write out this equilibrium. And then this would essentially become hydronium and C2O4. So we have the weak acid and the conjugate base in the same solution and in the same, relatively the same, in this case exactly the same concentrations. So that meets our buffer kind of checklist. Okay, part D, we have HCN, which is a weak acid, but then we have HF, which is another weak acid. So this one is actually a no because we have two weak acids and we don't have a conjugate base being present at this time. Okay, so for weak buffers, I'm actually going to leave this. This is a nice natural kind of cutoff point for the next part. We've already looked at what happens with a weak base buffer when I first introduced buffers in part 1, but we'll go over this again and take a look at the continued practice problems in the next section.